Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 34 of the Build Guide 2. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And it's time, lots of new content this week, and I thought rather than diving head first into a hotels resort, which I think everyone's going to be covering, I wanted to actually start out with the industrial evolution stuff, and I realised I spent my everything new in video calling it Industrial Revolution.
I loved your article in The Guardian, by the way.
Really?
Yes. I love that phrase you used. It was very, very clever, where you said, revolution, not evolution.
No, it was the opposite. Evolution, not revolution.
Well, whatever.
And it's not called that. It's called Industrial Evolution. So that is what we're going to do today. So, of course, I've added a bunch of new roads. And that's definitely one of the first things I want to try. We mentioned it last episode that this road here would be pretty temporary because I'd actually like to replace it with one of the fabulous new highway roads, because these things have a very cool elevated bridge. We'll check it out here. It's got these big sort of huge supports on it. This grey rusted iron look, very similar to the industrial road bridge over here, right? So a super cool asset, and because we're playing with such industrial themes in this area, I want to make sure that we factor this in. But to make it seem a bit more appropriate, I'm actually going to terraform the river a little bit first. So I just want to widen things out, make sure that bottom's nice and flat, and then just sort of push it up to where we have that contour line happening. And then as we come around this curve here, I want the river to be a little bit wider than what it is right now. Not too much, don't want to turn it into the Ohio River or anything like that, nothing too big. But this should be okay. Trim a bit of that forest. Now, we're kind of coming down a hill here, but I don't really want that to happen, so I think we're going to actually start terraforming out a little layer for our new industrial highway bridges to sit on. And we're probably a little close here. I'm probably going to have to move everything back, maybe 5 tiles, which I'll do off camera. So let's grab our industry highway, and we'll bring it up to, see what's that, it's going to be 15, 16, 17. So we'll go for 18. And I want to bring these bridges up to about there, I think, and then if we come over from that point by a distance of 20, that's going to give us that super cool bridge there, isn't it, with not too many horrible gradients going on, and we can detail those riverbanking with rocks and stuff. But I really do appreciate that, and especially when we've got a factory in the foreground here as well, which is going to make up the vast majority of today's build. I think it's going to be quite appropriate, isn't it? It should be quite a lot of fun. So let's mimic that on the other side as well. Wonderful. So we definitely want to probably expose that second support, don't we? Once it comes back down to earth. So we will do that. So let's grab this height now, and we know that we need to come back to earth here. So yeah, this is a little too steep to get in now. So I'll go ahead and move everything over by 5 tiles. We won't force to watch that. And then we'll get started with today's industrial build. I'm going to stick a factory in here, and then also upgrade a bunch of this stuff into Avania's industrial evolution. And then also bring probably a 3 road into here as well. Should be a lot of fun. So here we have it. And what a wonderfully impressive network, right? Super happy with this. See how it looks on the ground over here too. Also sample with a bit of ore industry fence next to it as well. And I think we probably will actually take this industrial highway road up to the start of the trumpet interchange at least. Okay, a little bit of fence in between it. Doesn't go amiss, does it? Actually works quite nice with the little barriers that it gets on it. But always nice to have a new industrial network. And I appreciate of this one too. Also got a new 4-lane one as well, which I actually wanted to check its bridge connection. I'm guessing it's going to be the same as the 2-lane, isn't it? Yeah, it is pretty much. Yeah, but still nice. I guess it's ever so slightly wider. And I think we actually will run this 4-lane industrial road down to the roundabout, which can now be unbraced as well. But wonderful, really nice addition, right? Again, we mentioned last episode when we were putting together this whole industrial network stuff that sometimes the networks themselves are just as important as everything else. Wonderful. So let's dive into the world of unique factories, because that's going to be sort of the meat and potatoes of today's build to help tie together a bunch of Avania's stuff. Of course, we don't have access to the seafood factory yet. Yes, we do, don't we? What does this need? Fish and plastic. I feel like this would be better suited more toward the coast rather than over here, so we'll probably avoid the seafood factory for this particular spot. So a lot of the main factories require plastics, which is an oil area, which we don't have yet. We could do what we did last episode and just import the ore directly into the area as part of the build, which actually might not work out too badly. The soft paper factory will lend itself very well to that. We're producing, what does this want? Paper and crops over this side from Fields of Golden and the the tree with leaves #1 forestry area. I forgot that we called it that. Okay, so let's do that then, and what we will do is we'll factor in an ore area with Avania's stuff to create the area today, so that should be quite fun. So let's actually get this painted out, and I think we might actually... How far does this go down? No, we probably should create a new area, shouldn't we? So let's paint this out. Again, I will let you guys name this one, if you like. You can pick the name of the district whilst it's a new DLC, and let me know what you think it should be called come the end, of course. So for right now, this is bugged for me just because of my current mod set, but this second Africa in miniature selection is actually Industrial Revolution. For you guys, it will be Evolution, but for me, it's Africa in miniature. Fabulous. So now I've got the district set up. Let's first of all go and have a look at where we're going to position our super factory, which of course is going to be the talking point of the day, isn't it? So we want to have soft paper, and I think if we just sort of position it here at the head of the land, we can get some nice orientation up against that rail line, which will give us a really cool aesthetic, and also some really cool positioning against the highway there, right? Nice big dominant industrial building next to a little parklet. Be quite impressive. Should also look pretty nice from the new trumpet interchange over here too. Kind of a bit of a pop in the skyline here for Orchid Bay, isn't it? It's gonna sort of dominate this industrial area over here. You can just about see it popping up over there, can't you? If it wasn't for the horrific vanilla shadows, which by the way can be removed with the mod Render It if you want to add another quality of life mod into your set. Fabulous. Cool. So I think I'm also going to change the Holy Waterfront into Industrial Revolution as well, also known as Africa in miniature for the bugged game at the minute. Well, at least on my bug game anyway. Cool. So let's bring through a road connection here, because we definitely want to give a little bit more connectivity here, so I think it's going to be a good spot to do it. Actually, just thinking we should probably draw it out from this one, shouldn't we, rather than that other one, because that's going to maintain some sense of road hierarchy at least. Have you come through, remove any overgrowth that needs to be removed, and then we just want to reintroduce that embanked rail line again. Awesome. So that's going to allow the rails to keep moving, which is great. So we'll keep that there. I think I'm going to be happy with this one here. So of course feeding the factory is going to be the priority. So I also want to make sure we can get some of these Industrial Revolution stuff properly factored into the build. So first of all, let's just bring in some new frames, and we're going to see what we can get growing on the inside of this little indent on the factory, and see what we can do with some blending. So we've not got a massive amount of industrial demand yet, which is okay. It will eventually come in, probably do satisfying a bit of residential, but we'll let this come in here for right now. So we'll let those grow. So of course the industries area is also going to be pretty important, and I think we can use the oil industry main building as a bit of a gate into the area here. So like a gate for the factory. It's going to be quite a nice repurposing of the asset, I think, isn't it? Okay, I think we can definitely get on board with that. Go ahead and bring out a little road here. Start feeding some frames together. So of course, for the first time in the vanilla game, we now have a surface painter, which should prove quite handy for areas like this. Let's go to the airports DLC and find it. Here we go, small airport apron. Do you want to use the large one here? So probably large is probably better for this area actually. And now for the first time ever, we can fill out solid concrete yards in the vanilla game, which again, we're lacking industrial vanilla props, which is such a huge shame. I think if anything, it would have been nice to have them added in this patch of all patches, but we can still get away with it, I think. It's not going to be horrendous. So we'll have that there. I do want to get some zoning on these. So I'm going to see if we can perhaps have a little bit of zoning knocking around here. And I think what we will actually do is remove a lot of this zoning here and replace it with maybe some Brooklyn's and Queens residential. I'm thinking if we have so much residential demand, would it be the worst thing ever to include it over here? I think we'll actually move our recycling centre into this space as well. Let's just put it there for right now. So here's one of our new assets already. Wonderful news, they are growing up. They're very nice, aren't they? Avani's done a wonderful job. If you're not familiar with all of Avani's stuff on the workshop, Really tremendous. So I think with the idea in mind, we will actually repurpose a little bit of this waterfront into Brooklyn's and Queens stuff. So we're actually going to need to remove this because there is high density residential here. But then again, if there is a bit of density there, I probably don't mind it, in all honesty, actually growing this up to Brooklyn's and Queens too. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and change this waterfront style to Brooklyn and Queens. And then we'll upgrade this road here into something not industrial road. So we'll go for a road with trees. And remove some of this pathways. Save us some nodes as well, which is always nice. And delete that too. Cool, so of course we do actually have pollution sources here, so we do need to be somewhat mindful of that. It's all very heavily polluted land, but that's because of the industry that will eventually fade over time. And then we'll just have this little... I'm not going for a properly inspired Brooklyn's and Queens area here, but I think a little bit of just housing estate vibes might go quite well with the area. And I think Brooklyn's and Queens is now probably the best option to do that. So we'll see what grows up with it. A little bit of industrial waterfront housing might go well. And we'll zone some smaller shapes here as well. Of course, we're playing with a brand new theme, so we don't know what shapes are acceptable. Can we mass zone this? Not entirely sure yet. So let's see some of it appear here. Down our main street. It is a wonderful asset. It's so much more realistic looking as well, isn't it? It really is. You compare to some of the vanilla housing behind it. Get away. Get out. What are you doing here? Not allowed. Please leave. And I don't think I'm averse to some 2 deeps here as well to fill some of that space. But I'm happy with that, I think. I think we can certainly get away with it on the main street, can't we? Very nice. And we'll hopefully enjoy the fruits of Brooklyn and Queens over here as well. See what like on a tree line street. It's a bit more of a dodgier estate here, a little bit rougher around the edges than the rest of town. Love these ones here with the balconies. And if you haven't seen everything new in video, we do take our time to look at every single new asset in great detail. So why don't we go for a new tree, right? We should get the silver birches here. I don't think that's too horrific, is it? I think I can enjoy a little bit of silver birch action here. I love how they're backing onto the industrial estate here. It looks like very sort of industrial style housing, doesn't it? Very nice indeed. This wasn't the plan today. I was planning to do Industrial Revolution mainly. But I'm happy with this. So they're all quite bricky at level 1. Which is fine. I don't mind a little bit of brick, but this is a fairly modern factory, so I think what we will do is leave a good few of them historic until we can get them up to their higher levels when they start to look a little bit more modern. So we'll just let them grow up a little bit, make sure they've got plenty of service over here. But either way, as far as a new addition to the riverfront here, I think Brooklyn's and Queens has settled in quite nicely at the foot of that tower, hasn't it? How are we doing for power now? Can I delete this oil plant? I really don't need it here anymore. What happens if we delete you? How much power do we lose? A little bit, but I think what we will do is actually just integrate a new power plant into this build here today. Oh, the geothermal sits perfectly there. That's if it fits, it sits. Yes, please, everyone. There we go. Absolutely wonderful. Cool. So with that in mind, then let's now position our new road to hold all of that Industrial Revolution stuff just next to the factory. Then we'll also bring it out this way instead to there, and then that's just reposition our zoning. So we'll have this here, and then again we'll run another airport apron. Is it apron or apron? I'm not entirely sure. So it will clip with some buildings there. It doesn't fully remove the zoning though, does it? Not entirely sure if it does. It shouldn't do. Yeah, my zoning squares are still over the apron, so I guess it should grow. We'll find out. Cool, and then I think we'll also stick a little bit of build guide forest in this spot over here as well. And we'll possibly do some nice little sort of park detailing here for this residential area. Okay, maybe we got room for a basketball court in here actually. Of course, so many new parks now as well with all the tourism stuff. Really can't wait to get back to some small town suburbia so we can start playing with these new parks. That's going to be a lot of fun. So there's the tiny playground. This actually has a basketball skin, doesn't it? How do we feel if we put 2 of these back together? Yeah, that's kind of fun actually. We're going to have the tiny little outdoor gym, and then we will stick an actual basketball court next to them as well. I think that's going to be quite a nice combination, isn't it, for the people living here. Maybe a bit of commercial too. Sorry, we're getting massively distracted with Brooklyns and Queens. This is supposed to be Industrial Revolution, but bear with me, right? It's new content, it's always very exciting for all of us. Okay, so that's interesting, isn't it? The assets certainly won't grow over an airport apron, so we're learning new things here. Yes, and as soon as they go, they immediately grow in. Okay, that's fine. Don't want the little smokestack there, though. Let's get rid of him. Awesome. So let's return to Industry DLC. This is the first part of the build I want to get ticked off. So let's just expand this little area, probably up into this little corner of the build over here. There is actually oil here, which is a happy accident. I didn't even check that before the build. But I don't really want oil derricks here, though. I think maybe when we get a small oil drilling pump rig, it might look a little better. But anyway, let's piece together some roads here, and then we can start to place in some of our oil producing assets. So the factory wants petroleum and plastic, so both of the oil products. So this is going to produce petroleum for us, so we'll have this one here. And then again, you're not going to have your plastics yet, are you? We should unlock that level 2. Yeah, the petrochemical plant will do that for us. And then we do have the small crude tank farm as well, which again I think for some possible detail and spices we can run maybe 2 of these in the centre of the industrial area, which I don't think is going to pair horrifically with our factory and industrial evolution stuff over there, is it? Please do excuse me if I keep calling it Revolution, by the way. I have that Alan Partridge sketch stuck in my head. So it's going to be a tough habit to get out of that one, I think. But otherwise, let's wait until this little number here hits level 2. It shouldn't be too long, really. Just, yeah, I need to wait for its resources to tick over. Do you think we probably can help with that, can't we? Yeah, I'm just going to throw down the oil derricks very temporarily. I really don't plan these to be here on a permanent basis. But it will help with oil production to help keep things fed and also level the area up too. Oh, look, there's one of the new industrial trucks driving around. Absolutely wonderful. Look how great like vanilla industry is now. All these new themed networks and bridges. Highway bridges playing a part in there as well, aren't they? Really liking the new Brooklyns and Queens stuff. We'll do this. I think next episode we're going to head to the downtown again and finish off a little bit of that with some of this stuff in the foot of the towers, which should be quite nice. But I'm really enjoying it in a suburban setting. It has to be said. It's not bad at all, is it? I think we can possibly do with a little bit more in this corner as well. Just get some houses growing there. Don't mind 2x2s either coming in. And that's sort of like a perfect asset too. Let's have that one. Fantastic. Yes, you're all dying of pollution, aren't you? Is that because of... Yeah, it's on the ground. It's going to fade away. This one here shouldn't... Yeah, you're out of the pollution radius of this. That shouldn't be affecting you. That will go away, I promise. It's just we need to let the ground pollution fade because there's been a load of generic industry here. But it will eventually go away. We're just going to have to deal with it for right now. But either way, we will let the industry area fill up and import its resources. And then we'll be right back. So these pollution symbols are slowly clearing up. But I just wanted to take a little minute to show off a great example of the new zoning adjuster tool here. So I'm thinking I want some residential to run along the river here. So I could do this, right, and we could draw out our road to hold them, to position the orientation, but all the zoning here is ever so slightly messed up. But if I was to use the zoning tool now, or the zoning adjust, what's it called? What is this game actually calling it? Toggle zoning tool, I guess. If I wanted to bring this out with no zoning, and then reintroduce the zoning, it gives me much fuller squares to now zone up here. Which is super handy. Saves having to use part life fence to do that now. So we'll have that there. And then you should have zoning on you. Let's redraw that one. Here we go. Just want that zoning to come back in. So you do have to refresh the road. You can't upgrade the road. It does have to be a brand new set. So we'll make sure all these larger spaces are filled with the Brooklyns and Queens stuff, which I'm really enjoying. There we go. Only one more pollution now. All the feces is finally clearing out of their water pipes for them. Have a look what we think at night time as well. Yeah, they're really cool. They're a really nice medium density solution. And also a little bit more realistic and not as not far-fetched, that's not the word, is it? I guess not as extravagant as wall-to-wall, which is another good medium density solution. These are just perfect, especially in the foot of an industrial area as well. Really gives kind of a public housing vibe, doesn't it? Again, I think it's been assets that are sorely missed from cities. I'm happy with that, I think, especially with the trains going back and forth as well. Yes, please, everyone. A wonderful time to be alive. Cities has come so far. Cool, yes, so it will go away. So while this continues to level up, it's not too far away from level 2 now. I just want to come down here and have a little look at some more industrial expansion. So this is the whole area of the map is going to be kind of a little bit of an industrial sort of heartland, I guess. Not like a massive, huge, endless estate, but little orbital sites of industry. We've got our factory in oil over here. There's the ore that we started last episode that will, of course, expand up into the foothills. And I think a couple of little warehouses just off a main road here might be quite cool. And I think we've got an excuse to try and do something with the new rail yards that have basically come with the game now. So let's bring out a road here. And we're going to come into our warehouses and we want to grab the new warehouse, which is warehouse with rail connection. And hopefully this will connect in without too much fuss. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with it. Yeah, so they will just get a simple connection in there. It's a bit of a shame it's not double-sided. That would have been super helpful. But I think we can actually work around that a little. So with that in mind there, let's go ahead and just decide how we want this to position. So I think we'll bring the road out of the rail first. So let's go for here. Of course, we're not going to have that rail connection in, so it doesn't really matter. Then we'll use that road to see if we can piece it that way. And then it should give us an opportunity. I guess, again, we're probably going to want to run it parallel with the actual national line first for a little bit, otherwise it might look a little weird. So we can have that there, get that curve tool in, and then hook that in as like so. And then our industrial road's going to be downgraded to 2-lane. Then we can feed them back into the main road. And then what I'm hoping to have here, just as you're driving down the main road out of the main industrial area of Orchid Bay into what eventually lies over there, you're just going to drive past these warehouses that will hook directly into the rail connection. I think it should be quite cool. It really is, you know, it's almost very close to being a vanilla rail yard there, isn't it? Especially if you start piecing these together in the right angles, you should have quite a lot of fun, I think. So if you wanted to do another one, I'd probably want 2 out here, I think. So let's go ahead now and bring another road down the side here. We could also bring this across on a level crossing if we wanted to. You'd have to mess about with the road, so I don't think we will do that. We'll just bring it off of the arterial again. So we'll have it facing down here. And again, we can have another one in, but we will need to slightly rework the rail position in there. Yeah, it's all about finding new ways to have fun with these assets, you know. So a little industrial rail yard storage facility here just on the edge of town. I think it's going to be quite thematic. We can just about clear that as well, which is handy. So we'll have that one go in. And then that one straight in. That one there isn't more than the length of one train. So I think what we will do is run that parallel to, and then just do that curve tool. So we come in like this, and then we can feed everyone back into the national line to hopefully have this sort of effect. Let's go back in for that one there. Again, maybe bring this a little bit shorter now. Have that one. So super cool assets, right? Again, you need the Industries DLC to get these new assets. This is not Industrial Evolution. That's part of the new update. And I guess it's a little far to store things for the factory, isn't it? I guess it's only across the roundabout though. Wouldn't hurt. So what do you store? I guess we could store petroleum and plastic here. So let's go for and plastic as well. I think we will just sort of bring that Orchid Bay forest around the warehouses. And then whenever we need it now, if we need, for example, say more garbage processing, then this would be a great little spot to just come in and expand those industrial vibes out, wouldn't it? I think it would. We can get away with that. So we're just going to have this little industrial import facility just on the edge of town here. We'll of course detail it up during our time lapse today, but I'm really happy with these new assets. car parking on as well, a little bit of fencing. I really wish we had this as a fence network too, this like corrugated iron barbed wire one, but maybe one day. So we also have this layer against the highway that looks like it's going to be quite a lot of fun. So let's just push everything back here, and we're going to accentuate that elevation now, like we've done with many of our other embanked networks. Again, a little bit of rock wall along here will be very nice during our detailing as well, so we'll try and remember to do that. Cool. So the geothermal plant hasn't given us a massive spike in energy, but I'm thinking we might be able to introduce the new advanced coal plant into the build and just seeing how this performs as part of an industrial area. And again, orientation is always tremendously important, so why don't we try it up against the highway? How do we feel about that? We'll need to remove some of the trees around it. We'll give it a more landscape design once we are happy with its positioning. We'll just sort of drive along our new industrial highway here now. See down some of Vanya's stuff, which is going to start leveling up soon, we hope. New power plant, factory in there as well. Now you can make industrial areas so much more interesting than just a massive covering of these yellow tiles and just saying, you know, there you go, that's it, that's vanilla industry done. So much more we can do with it now. But I'm happy with that, I think. It's not too bad. We're actually producing too much petroleum. Hopefully that's going to start going into the warehouses soon. I wonder if we actually maybe set one of these warehouses to commercial zone goods, because then we'll see them come in on the train line. So, little tip here, if you're waiting to level up an industry area, I don't think I've ever covered this on the channel before. If you find that you're just sort of slowly ticking over workers, you can kind of cheese it by spamming down extraction assets. So if it was a farm, it would be a field. If it was an ore area, it would be one of the mines. But for oil, it's some of these derricks. When you spam them down, it kind of automatically pulls in workers, regardless of whether or not there's actually the worker demand in the city for it. You see it now, it's going to start flying up towards 150, which is what we need it to be. And again, you can just continually do this for however many workers you need, and then delete them once you're done. So, spam them down here, set that industrial area out a little bit, and this should get us to level 2. A little bit cheesy, but it will work. And there we go, wonderful. So that gives us the petrochemical plant, the small oil drilling rig, which I think is the one I want to use here. We've also unlocked the household plastics factory, which might be another one to include. I guess we'll sort of see what happens. And then crude oil storage cabin as well. So let's delete all these. Cool. So we've got this level 2 now. Let's remove this, and then we'll start piecing together a little bit of an oil industry yard. A bit more of Avanya's evolution stuff. never got to get that right. And then we'll move into a detailing time lapse. So we'll bring back in the process plant and have that there. And then we'll have our petrochemical plant just behind. And then we'll bring a road out to hold this. Let's go for that one there. And I think I want to switch this around so it's facing the water. I can switch it. I've got to replace it. There we go. Cool. And then we should be fine, I guess. Do these have an output value? They both produce 4,000 units a week. In that case then, we'll have one more pyrolysis plant to go. I think I actually want to save one tile out the front of here. It's quite specific, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. So bring it a tile further down. We'll have that one there. We'll still maintain its connection, of course, and we can use the aprons to fill the space now. Then we'll have that one there, and then let's grab one of the airport stuff. Let's go ahead and scroll down toward it. Here we go. And space already occupied. Oh, that is so irritating. So it won't come over that one. So I guess in that case then, or we could just have it as a little grassy overgrown area in amongst all the concrete. Then can we draw pathways over these aprons? Yes, we can. So what I will do is come into the grid, and then that should just give us some lights in that little facility. And that gives us a really nice sort of industrial yard, doesn't it, an industrial area, when we've got that concrete apron down. Very nice indeed. Yeah, so I think we will just move it back one tile, and then we don't have that gap out the front, but it still should be okay. I think I'm pretty happy with it. And then we've got that pathway that does go through the middle as well already there. It's quite hard to spot when the aprons are down. It almost overlaps it, but it's fine. Cool. Don't hate that. And then we'll bring up a road around this way. This time with no zoning on it because I want the zoning to maintain on the front here. And then we'll fill that again with some nice waterfront stuff from Avanya, and we'll hopefully just save 3 deeps here for some nice waterfront industrial stuff to come in. That should be quite nice. We really do need this to start leveling up, so let's go ahead and throw down some services for these. Let's give them probably the large vanilla fire station would be a good shout for this, I think. It's going to be 2 out of places. It's going to please all these people as well, which is great. And we did just want to very briefly check the plastics factory as well, which does use petroleum and plastic to function. In which case it might actually work better down by our industrial yard here. Yeah, I don't hate it. I think it possibly wants to be sat more toward the rail though, doesn't it? Which again, I realise there's another connection off of this arterial, but it's not going to be a main route into downtown or anything like that, so it should survive. Although I need to remember to actually bring the zoning back onto the road. There we go. So I think we'll have it orientated against the rail line. Again, it might want switching around as well. So we have maybe not this one here and then position it against the road, and that way we'll get those silos and containers, which kind of hammers home the rail yard vibe a little bit more, doesn't it? We have it like that, and then we can sort of use this as a natural end to this development in Orchid Bay, and whatever lies further down the arterial road than this can just enter the city and sort of drive past this little industrial unit over here. I don't think it's going to be too bad, and again we can expand this with garbage collection as and when we need it. That should be quite a lot of fun, I think. And these are starting to fill up now as well, which is good. So hopefully we'll start exporting some petroleum as well when we get to that point. Here's some of the new train engines also. There they go. Moving around the industrial rail network. Very exciting. Fabulous. Cool. But, oh, you're not within the district. How dare. Oh, you are within the district. Why are you growing as regular stuff? Oh, I did also want the other thing in here as well, didn't I? The oil drilling rig thing. This one here, the small drilling rig. So let's delete these smaller oil derricks. And then we'll have... possibly go for 2 of these. Might look quite nice though up against the highway here. Let's delete this road. Let's get that one back. And then we'll grab these and hopefully have them sat on this big patch of oil. There. And let's go for 2. Why not? Shouldn't look too weird up against the highway, I don't think. No, it's alright, isn't it? But quite a large industrial facility. Multifunctional as well. We've got generic industry, services, and industries DLC plus 2 factories incorporated into Orchid Bay's sort of industrial economy today, if you like. So, a fun build. And plus the unexpected use of some Brooklyns and Queens stuff as well. I really do like this up against the waterfront. It's not too bad. We could even carry on and lose a little bit of our park detail in here because this is a big green space. And have some apartments looking out over the park. I guess we'll see. There's probably a detail in time lapse job, isn't it? Well, speaking of detailing, let's get lots of aprons, tree lines about positioning our assets how we want them. And wait for some of this industrial evolution stuff to level up. And hopefully it's going to start coming in against the waterfront now. No, that's vanilla industry. I don't know why you're not growing in as industrial revolution. You should be doing. Probably a mod conflict, I imagine. Either way, let's get it detailed. And then we'll be right back. Right guys, let's have a detailing review. So huge fan of this new industrial bridge, especially with Riverfront industrial evolution stuff. What a wonderful view, right? One of my new favourite aesthetics in the game. Gone for a silver birch line and lots of overgrown riverbanks around pretty much the entire facility. Dropped in one of the Korean police stations, of course. And then there's a lot of industrial evolution stuff just scattered across the whole estate, different sizes, 2 deeps and sort of 1 deeps as well, just to help fill some space that we have knocking around here. Did leave an airport apron in just so we have some sort of open concrete space, which thankfully enough one of the assets has spawned in some props forwards, which gives it a little bit more purpose. And we're also using the Japanese car parks that come with the Railroads of Japan content creator pack. These car parks, I think they're a lot more suited to industrial areas, aren't they, rather than using the vanilla ones. So really happy with those. And then there's also one behind our little office unit here that provides a little bit of admin and HR, of course, always appreciated for an industrial build. Another position now against the highway. This little oil storage cavern blends in really nice with industrial evolution. All sits just below this elevated network and just so much better industry. I can very rarely see myself going back to the vanilla industry now, maybe only in the modded series when we're using Find It to pick out some assets that we want. But really happy with it, it's turned out super nicely. Joining the ore fence as a perimeter for the industrial facility here, and then also have a warehouse holding petroleum orientated against the back of the forestry, or the factory, sorry. And then having that tree line I think is a little more appropriate than the mass forest. But it sits in really nice, doesn't it? Super happy with it. Really nice again over here. Got another car park on the corner with more of that industrial evolution stuff. It's just so good. Really highly suggest this as one of the content creator packs to pick up. And I think we will redo the content creator pack tier list soon, probably in the summer. Now that everything is released for Cities 1 and opinions have changed as well. Yeah, just wanted a bit more of a satellite industrial area, so painted out some more of evolution over here. And then in our roundabout we've replaced it with the Japanese railroad statue, which I felt was a little bit more industrial looking, so we've gone for that in the middle of the statue and kept it simple with some bush lining. And then down here we have fenced off our little out of town rail yard facility, where our rail yards are now sitting, dropped in one of the Japanese police boxes as a bit of a security entrance into the site, where our household plastics factory now sits, fed by the 2 factories, storing what it needs. I did drop in some of these. I have no idea where to use these. I'm not part of the train gang, but we do get some new railroad props with the Railroad of Japan stuff. So I thought maybe some signals might be appreciated in and around this rail line now. So it's alright, I'm pretty happy with it. Speaking of, here comes one of the new engines going down the rail. There it goes. Tremendously exciting, isn't it? Wonderful. So these are all stocked up now. And the whole area just fits in really nicely. I'm a huge fan of the view from this bridge right here. And yeah, definitely one of the better industrial areas and the largest industrial area that Orchid Bay has seen. But a nice start to this 25 tile part of the map. We'll definitely come back here in a future episode with an ore build, but this is pretty nice for right now, I think. Otherwise guys, that is going to do it for today. If you've enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares below really help me out. Even much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave me a dislike as well. Let me know what you're enjoying most about all this new content. There was a lot to get into and many more builds to Orchid Bay to come. And a bit of love for that very distant skyline now. City's come such a long way. Tremendously happy with it, and still so much more to do as well, of course, with all this new content. Please do enjoy your cinematics of the new area today, but I'll shut up and leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.